take you through a little bit of a personal journey. I'm going to talk about having agency and choice. Agency is when you start making your own decisions and your actions, and you take responsibility for them. I'm going to talk to you about how agency and choice have guided me and defined who I am. I myself am the product of agency and choice, made by my mother and father, who chose each other and acted on that choice even when social mores were very much against it. My parents met at Karachi University. My mother belonged to a very conservative Hindu family, and which was not going to let her marry any Muslim boy. But she made a choice. She chose to marry my father. And that was one of the beginnings of another story. But 4 years later, when I was 4 and my younger brother was only 9 months old, she had a brain hemorrhage, and she passed away very suddenly overnight. And there we were, the three of us. My father was barely 25, me 4 years old, my younger brother 9 months old, without a mother. It was a terrible loss. I mean, having lost a mother, it was something that obviously one doesn't really get over from. But, you know, you kind of, I think I learned something there. I chose to continue living. I embraced life. I embraced how to love. I built empathy, and I moved on. You don't really move on from losing a mother, but you actually, I found a mother in the shape of my father. I found a mother in the shape of my young puppy, who was 18 years old, and she left everything. She chose and moved in with us to bring up the two of us, 2 children. My other puppy, who was also brought us up, and a wonderful dadi who also played a role. And then 8 years later, when my father got remarried, I got yet another mother. So from having lost a mother, I actually gained 4. School life was great. I was a Karachi girl, CGM, then KGS, and wonderful friends whom I still cherish, who are here today as well. Head girl, prefect. And then the question of college came up. I was very determined to go and study in the US. My father was not so supportive there. He wanted me close to home. I got into the IBA, but I didn't give up on my dreams. I chose to go abroad. I applied. I applied to a few universities. I got into Mount Holyoke and got a scholarship. And that began, I took agency and I applied it and made a choice and decided where I wanted to go. My dadi stood up for me and my father relented. And that was again, my flight of agency and choice. College was a turning point. It opened up a world of ideas, of possibilities, of dreams. And here I was pursuing a degree in economics, like all good Pakistani students to this day still do. But my heart was elsewhere, in literature, in feminist writing, in politics. And then I met some wonderful people. Dr. Iqbal Ahmed, who became my mentor. He was teaching at Hampshire College. One of the greatest thinkers of our age. Through him, I met people like Edward Said, like Noam Chomsky, Gloria Steinem. And these are the people who shaped, I think, who I have become today. Their discourse is also about choice and agency and what happens when that is taken away from people. And I learned a lot from there. I graduated magna cum laude. I had many paths and choices before me. I could have followed the path of becoming an investment banker, very popular in the 80s on Wall Street, or applied to a university and again gone on to the IMF or World Bank and development, etc. But I chose to return home. I chose to build on the legacy of my father's business, which was advertising. I chose home. I was my own boss. Again, agency and choice were my North Star. The business opened up many opportunities, but again, I chose my own path. I decided very early on the kind of advertising agency I wanted to be a part of. I wanted it to have conscience. I wanted it to have a soul. And I decided to surround myself with a team of some of the best creative minds in the country. I still remember fondly working with Hasina Appa. We launched the first AIDS awareness campaign in Pakistan. This is for the Ministry of Health, and I reached out to her, Seema Appa, and she wrote this beautifully scripted, sensitive script, because this was the first time we were talking about a subject like that. It was very well received. And Arshad Mahmood composed some of the music. Tina Sani sang the song. It was projects like that that excited me, and continue to excite me. I chose as much work as I could that had social impact, and decided that this is what I wanted to stand for. They say that if you believe in what you want, the heavens will conspire to make them happen. A year after I returned from college, and after I had immersed myself in work, I met the love of my life, and I chose to marry him. Heady days as we navigated building a life together, and 8 years passed in a flash. We both desperately wanted a baby, but it wasn't happening. And then I still remember going through that whole emotional roller coaster of treatments, etc., and all of that. And one day when I was really at the end of my tether, a very dear and wise friend of mine, Poppy, who's not with us anymore, sat me down and told me, why have you not thought of adoption? There's so many fears that hold us back from being who we want to be. I wanted to be a mother. I chose to adopt. Meera came into our life, she's 18 now, and changed it forever. 5 years later, Meera gave us the strength and love to reach out and adopt another young baby. And Sana, who's now 13, is as much a part of our life and brings us so much happiness. So God gave us an opportunity, and we welcomed it with open arms. We chose our 2 children. We all have the power, I call it agency, to choose to make ourselves into the kind of person we want to be. Don't listen to voices outside. Don't let the world write the story of your life. Make your choices and become author and the agent of your own life. This is who I am, and this is exactly who I wanted to be. Thank you.